Feeling ignored by online services? There's something important you need to remember. Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. Hey, if you're not signed up for my weekly Confident Computing newsletter, go visit askleo.com/newsletter right away. Each week I share answers and tips and tricks to help you use technology with more confidence and, as today's question kind of addresses, with a little bit more understanding of exactly what's going on behind the scenes. Here's the question. Why are my complaints going unheard? I think we've all felt this way from time to time, and honestly, it's a reflection of, well, the industry. I hear it most often when something changes and people object to the change and they complain to the service provider or the software vendor about the change, and then they hear crickets, nothing. There's no response, no feedback, nothing changes because of their complaint. They don't even get acknowledgement. Why is that? Well, there's a fundamental issue here at play that, while frustrating, might help it be a little bit easier to swallow why this is happening. And that's very simple. You and I, we're not the customer, especially for free services, right? If you're not paying for it, then you are the product being sold. Who are you being sold to? Well, advertisers. I refer to it as basically renting your eyeballs. When a service is free, there's very often something else going on, and it's usually, in a lot of cases, advertising. That's especially true for social media. What the service is banking on is that in amongst whatever else it is you're looking at, you're also looking at the ads. They charge the advertisers for placing those ads, and that's how they make money. You are what they attract to the service by not having you pay for it, and then they sell your attention to the advertisers. You and I, we're the product. And I think that's really important to understand, because when the product complains, there's nobody to pay attention. You have really no real power over that service. If the advertisers complain, you bet they're going to get attention. But you and I, as the product of these free services, no, we're just not going to get listened to. Now, there is an issue here because, of course, if that service can't attract the free users, well, then they have nothing to give to the advertisers. That's why so often the advice that I offer with respect to free services is vote with your feet. If you don't like the service, then don't use it, because ultimately that's the only leverage you have over the free services. It may have no impact. You and I, we're just a couple of folks. If the majority of folks, however, have the same feeling and all end up abandoning the service, you can bet the service is going to pay attention. But they're not paying attention to you or I complaining to them. They're paying attention to their product walking away. Now, this is true even if we pay for the service, and this is where it starts to get, I'll just say, frustrating. Windows is a wonderful example of this. Even if we pay for Windows, and a lot of people don't, it comes with the machine, although you're kind of sort of paying for it because it's bundled in the cost. But the bottom line is, even if you're paying for Windows as an individual home user, you're a customer, but you're not the target customer. By that I mean, by and large, Windows makes most of its money from large enterprises, businesses, and those are the voices that get Microsoft's attention. When you and I complain about something, again, we're not the target audience. We're not who Windows was designed for. The fact that we use it, well, there's some side benefit to Microsoft for using it, but you and I are not necessarily who Windows and any other services that they might be offering are necessarily targeted for. And honestly, this is true for a lot more than just Windows. A lot of the things that we use, especially if it's subsidized, if we pay for it some, but we're not really paying the full cost of the product, those are scenarios where there's another customer out there. Sometimes it's more advertising. Sometimes you'll get advertising in products that you've actually paid for, as annoying as that can be. But very often it's a sign of a product being targeted for another audience completely. Another great example is Macrium Reflect. It's a tool that I use and I recommend, and I've written courses about it to help you use it more properly. You and I, as it turns out, we're not the target audience. If you spend some time on the Macrium site, you'll see that their focus as a company is on business and small business. Now, as a side effect of their targeting these more formal businesses, they're producing a really good product that then you and I can use in the home. But once again, we are not necessarily the target audience for that product. As a result, if we have a complaint that is somehow not something that would affect businesses, there's likely a chance that our opinion won't carry nearly as much weight. It's important to understand that yes, when it comes to making changes to products, the customer comes first, but if you're not the customer, but you feel like you are, it's really easy to assume that they are ignoring you, or in some cases that they are intentionally annoying you. That is simply not the case. You are not necessarily the real customer of that product. Honestly, this is nothing new. Consider print, magazines, and newspapers of years ago. They were full of ads, even if you were paying for a subscription. Are you the customer, or were the advertisers the customer? I would argue that especially when it comes to newspapers, which are just full of ads, they were the customers. And it was the advertisers that actually had a significant sway in what would happen to a specific newspaper's publication. You as subscribers at home, getting your newspaper every day or getting a magazine once a month, yeah, you had some sway because it determined the size of the audience. But in reality, it was the advertisers that pulled the string. So, like I said, it can be frustrating, but I think it's really important to understand exactly what's going on so that maybe, just maybe, the next time there's a change that you are a little annoyed with, you understand that, well, you may not have factored into that change at all because you're the product, not the customer. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/16372. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is AskLeo.com. Thanks for watching.